Hello, women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I'm excited to introduce you to Andrea Morrison, Senior Vice President of Human Resources for NWN Carousel. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie. Always great to be on.
Great. So let's start off with some icebreakers. Where do you live and where did you grow up, if that's different?
Yeah, so I currently live in Windham, New Hampshire. This will hopefully be our forever home. We just moved here this summer. I grew up in a small town in Florida called Rockledge, Florida, which is really close to Cape Canaveral. So where you see all of the, kind of rockets and shuttles as I grew up taking off, we were about 10 or 15 minutes away from that.
Very interesting. So you went from sunny skies and probably not many seasons to full-on seasons.
Absolutely.
Love that. Love that. What is a little known fact about you?
Okay, so a little known fact about me, which ties back to the story in between Rockledge, Florida and ending up here, is I've moved over 30 times in my lifetime. So this was actually move number 32 for me. Between my moves as a child, I was in the military for a period of time. And then with the corporate work I've done, I am currently at move number 32, and hence why we're saying this is the last.
So now I understand your comment, hopefully my forever home. Thank you for your service. And wow, that's amazing. I love it. We'll have to talk more about that later because we have that in common. So, all right. So let's kind of dive into your career path and how you reached the position you're at today.
Okay. So I joined the Army at 18 and ended up getting picked up to attend West Point. And so once I graduated from West Point, I obviously had to have a certain amount of service time, dedicated to the Army. So I was assigned out to like Fort Campbell, Kentucky with the 101st and into Fort Lee, Virginia. I actually also did, towards the end of my service, 2 years in the Massachusetts National Guard out of the Springfield Armory. So a total of 14 years in the uniform. And then when I was actually in my time in Virginia at Fort Lee, I met my husband, who at the time was a Richmond police officer. And we decided to relocate back to the Northeast as I transitioned out and joined the Massachusetts National Guard. And I joined what was at the time a very large corporation, United Technologies, with many different divisions, both on the aerospace and commercial side. And I spent several years there from 2006 until, just recently under kind of the UTC, umbrella. I started out in supply chain and operations. So I was not in HR originally coming out of the military, and kind of rose through increasing levels of responsibility there. And I actually utilized a program called the Employee Scholar Program, where I received an MBA with a concentration in HR and began really my HR journey in 2013. It was, a really great time to kind of learn and grow within the organization. And in 2018, I had a fantastic opportunity to join one of the major divisions, the commercial divisions of Carrier Corporation, the HVAC company. And as I joined, it wasn't very long after that it was announced that they were going to actually spin off as their own publicly traded company. So really unique experience to go through being a 100-year-old startup, because the company was well over 100 years old, and kind of getting some really great learnings from that. And then this last summer in July, I had the distinct pleasure of joining NWN Carousel. And I'm leading their HR function here. We have a team of 12. It's a fantastic organization. We're a cloud communications service company with kind of an integrated portfolio of solutions around hybrid work. So really being able to take hybrid work, join and drive hybrid work was really important to me, and kind of where we're going overall as an employee base.
Wow, you have such an interesting career journey. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And congratulations on all your successes. Just amazing. I love it. All right. So how did you reach your level of success given the gender gap, particularly amongst leadership? I'm sure you have enough of good insight there, especially coming from 14 years in the military.
Yeah, it's like I was going to say, if you can see from my background, I've pretty much from the time I left to join the Army, go to West Point, serve in the military, and even with my time at United Technologies, which was a fantastic organization, I was on the aerospace side of that, which had a lens of being predominantly, kind of male there too. And I will say that I could go back. I can't go back and count how many times I was the only female in a room at any given time. But I can provide you kind of a concrete pathway and I can't provide you a concrete pathway of, kind of what road I took to really necessarily get there. But I can provide you kind of the strategy that I kind of worked with. And I believe you kind of, as a female leader in an organization, you have to own your career. You have to own your space, and you actually have to own your voice. And I think those are three very distinct strategies that I've taken through the last couple of years. When I say own your career, that's really around kind of knowing your worth, not your goals, not your title you aspire to be, not some dollar amount that you're really seeking, but knowing your worth and drive to make that possible. Will this role give you energy? Will this role deliver learnings and failures and visibility? And if it does, take it and put out that fire with determination, and then ask for another. And I didn't always embrace the strategy right at the beginning, but it truly came to me over this last probably 10 years. And I feel empowered now that kind of I control my destiny and I know my worth. And I know where I'm going to be at a place that's going to give me energy from my team, from the leadership. And as I can help put out those fires, I continue to grow in my leadership style and my leadership capability.
That's such great advice. And I love that you kind of brought them down as like a few bullet points that you can kind of walk away remembering: own your space, own your career, and own your voice.
Yes.
Amazing. I love it. What is something you've learned that you wish you knew earlier in your career?
So feedback is a gift. I was taught this very early on in my corporate career. You can treasure it, you can re-gift it, or you can throw it away. So being able to take an action on feedback, I think, is extremely critical, especially if you drive to be a woman leader in the organization. There's going to be opportunities where you will miss golden nuggets if you're not opening yourself up and listening to the feedback that's going to make you successful. But you also have to keep a very appropriate lens of understanding where the feedback's coming from and how it's going to help you grow. Again, owning your career, owning your space, owning your voice. If that feedback is driving you to improve in those three areas, it's critical that you take it, understand how you're going to use it, and internalize it and make a plan around, bettering yourself in that space.
Yep, that's amazing advice. So to our listeners, kind of repeat that in your head, because I know I've had to repeat that myself, because sometimes feedback is hard to receive, especially when it's something that we're super passionate about. So I love that you've given some actions to kind of take. And I also love that you call it feedback as a gift. So amazing advice. I love it. All right. So let's kind of pivot to mentorships and inspiration. What or who do you look for in that?
Sure. I think growing up, I have to say, I'll start with kind of the basics of the first woman I think most of us look up to, and that's our mom, right? Who instilled in my sister and I both, that we could do anything. And then next would be my sister. She was 8 years older than me, and she actually served in the military, and is the reason I served. I kind of followed in her footsteps, although she went in the Navy. I won't hold that against her. But, she retired after 30 years as a Navy captain, and she was also an OBGYN for the Navy. So a really great career of service to our nation. And I always competed against her. So having the ability, she always was driving me and to challenge myself, but to be great in my own way. And I think I really look up to her for really providing that space to where I could compete against her, but I could also, compete in a way that was truly being me. And then finally, when I think about like corporate America, right, and being able to enter into the corporate space coming out of the military, my first manager is still to this day my amazing mentor and friend, and someone I look up to. She's an executive at Pratt & Whitney. And in supply chain, I remind myself each day in most situations, what would Kelly do here? Like when I have to take a step back and think about a really tough situation, she taught me what right looked like. And she was the greatest leader I have ever worked for in my career, civilian or Army. And I would spend the rest of my career just trying to live up to her standards. She's absolutely phenomenal. And I think when you find that person who represents that, you know what right looks like deep down in your heart. And those individuals pull you in and provide you that opportunity in that space. You have to capitalize on that opportunity to learn and grow from them and stay connected. And, to this day now, I would say we're more as much friends as she still is a mentor, but I would never make a career change without talking to her. I know she's there when I have those tough times and need to decide whether that feedback is actually a treasured gift or something I need to regift or throw away. There have been times when I've received feedback where I've used her as a sounding board just to make sure that I am thinking it through correctly, right? And do I really need to listen? She's also the first person to really provide me very candid, coachable feedback where I knew how to accept feedback and how to give feedback because she could do it eloquently. And I think having that amazing opportunity, really as I broke into the civilian world, right, and my first opportunity, that's what set me up for success.
So many good nuggets in here. A couple of things that stood out to me was your sister encouraging you to be great in your own way. Like that is huge. I love that she told you that. And I love that your mom really set you guys both up for success in achieving, the ability you could just do and achieve whatever you wanted to, putting your mind and action toward it. And then just having that trusted advisor that honestly, having that trusted advisor like helps you to learn how to take feedback, as you mentioned. And, just learning how to take it and knowing that, this person is someone you trust and they're looking out for your best interest is amazing. And then staying connected was the other thing that you pointed out. All great nuggets. There's so many good things in here. All right. So we have time to get one more question in. So what challenges have you faced in your position as a leader?
I think the responsibility that personally I have as the leader of HR for the organization is being the conscience of the organization. In HR, we don't always have to be the good guy. We have to deliver, honest and truth and transparency. And sometimes that is tough to hear. However, it can be accomplished with empathy and it can be done professionally and above all else. And I always challenge leaders to kind of praise in public and coach in private. And so that's always been when I'm facing challenges in the organization, how do I privately get to the person, have the conversation and challenge maybe the status quo of what's going on. I've also decided what are the times when I need to win a battle versus win the war. And those are kind of daily struggles, I think, within any organization. When you're facing challenges within a team, within a leadership, within an organizational structure, within a cultural boundary, it's kind of taking that step back, understanding, what is the right thing to do for the organization, that we're doing the right thing, even when no one is looking type scenario, and really choosing. I'll go back to something that we would always say as a cadet, choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. And I think by being the conscience of the organization, by choosing that harder right, that's what we really need to focus on, especially as the HR leaders of an organization.
Andrea, I cannot thank you enough for giving us your time, but also sharing your story and giving so much that our listeners are definitely going to resonate with. Such great nuggets in here. Thank you again for being here with us.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity today to chat.
My pleasure. All right, women of the channel, that was your woman of the week. Please continue the conversation, comment, give Andrea some shout outs, and we will see you next time.